Welcome to Revenge Tellus, where betrayal meets justice and karma catches up with those who thought they'd never pay. If you believe good people deserve to win, hit subscribe and join thousands watching justice unfold. Now let's dive into today's story. I walked into our bedroom at 2:23 in the afternoon on a Tuesday and found my wife Nicole in bed with our neighbor, Brett Harrison. They were so caught up in what they were doing that they didn't even hear me open the door. I stood there for exactly 15 seconds, watching my marriage die in real time, before Nicole finally looked up and saw me. Her face went from pleasure to shock to something that looked like annoyance in the span of 3 seconds. "Jason, what are you doing home?" she asked, not even bothering to cover herself, like I was the one who'd done something wrong by coming home to my own house in the middle of the day. Brett scrambled off the bed, grabbing his clothes. "Man, I'm sorry, I didn't—" "Save it," I said calmly. Too calmly, probably. The kind of calm that comes right before a hurricane. My name is Jason Mercer. I'm 38 years old, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I thought I had a pretty good life. I ran a successful software consulting business from home, which meant flexible hours and decent money. Nicole and I had been married for 11 years, together for 13. We had a nice house in a good neighborhood, 2 cars, no kids by choice. On paper, everything looked perfect. But standing there watching my wife and our neighbor scramble to put clothes on, I realized that paper doesn't mean much when it's covered in lies. "I can explain," Nicole said, finally wrapping the sheet around herself. "I'm sure you can," I replied, "but I'm not interested." I turned and walked out of the bedroom, down the stairs, and straight out the front door. I got in my car and drove to a coffee shop 3 miles away. My hands were steady on the wheel. My breathing was normal. I felt nothing. That should have told me something right there. I sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours, drinking black coffee and staring at the wall. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from Nicole, 15, 20, 30 messages. I didn't read any of them. Around 5 o'clock, I drove back home. Brett's truck was gone. Nicole was sitting on the couch in the living room, wearing sweatpants and one of my old college t-shirts. Her eyes were red from crying. "Jason, we need to talk," she said as soon as I walked in. "Okay, talk." She stood up, wringing her hands. "What you saw today. It's not what you think." "Really? Because what I think I saw was you sleeping with Brett Harrison in our bed. Was I wrong about that?" Nicole's face flushed. "No, but then it's exactly what I think." "It was just once," Nicole snapped, her sadness shifting to defensive anger in an instant. "Just one time, Jason. Why are you acting like I committed some horrible crime?" I stared at her. "You're joking." "No, I'm not joking. Yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I'm sorry. But you're standing there acting like I destroyed the world when it was just one afternoon." "Just once," I repeated slowly. "Yes, God, Jason, can you get over it? It meant nothing. Brett means nothing. It was just physical." Something in the way she said it, the dismissive tone, the expectation that I should just accept this and move on, made something click in my brain. "He's better in bed anyway," Nicole added with a bitter smirk. "So maybe this is good for both of us. Now you know you need to step up your game." I nodded, just nodded. Then I walked upstairs to our bedroom, grabbed my laptop and some clothes, and walked back downstairs. "Where are you going?" Nicole demanded. "Hotel. I need to think." "You're seriously going to run away instead of dealing with this like an adult?" I stopped at the door and looked back at her. "Nicole, you cheated on me in our bed, told me to get over it, and then insulted me for good measure. I'm not running away. I'm making space to figure out what comes next." "What comes next is you forgive me and we move on," she said like it was obvious. "That's what married couples do." "We'll see," I said, and left. If you're hooked on this story and want to see what happens when someone finally stands up for themselves, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below about what you would do in this situation. And smash that like button so more people can find these real stories about betrayal and consequences. Trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. The hotel room was generic and clean. Double bed, desk, chair, bathroom. Everything I needed and nothing I didn't. I set up my laptop and logged into my work accounts. Then I logged into our bank accounts. Nicole and I had always maintained separate finances. My consulting business paid well, bringing in around $180,000 a year. Nicole worked as a dental hygienist, making about $55,000. We split household expenses proportionally based on income, and what was left over stayed in our individual accounts. Or so I thought. Turns out Nicole had been withdrawing cash regularly from our joint household account. Small amounts, $200 here, $300 there. Easy to miss if you weren't looking closely. Over the past 8 months, she'd pulled out nearly $15,000. I pulled up our credit card statements next, the household card that we both had access to. More interesting discoveries. Hotel charges, restaurant charges in the middle of weekdays when she should have been at work. Shopping trips to expensive boutiques. I cross-referenced the dates with my travel schedule. Every hotel charge corresponded to a day when I'd been out of town for a client meeting. Every expensive lunch to a day when I'd worked late in my home office. Just once, she'd said. The evidence suggested otherwise. I made copies of everything. Bank statements, credit card records, hotel receipts. Then I opened a new browser window and started researching divorce attorneys. My phone buzzed. Another text from Nicole. Are you seriously not going to answer me? This is childish, Jason. Come home so we can talk about this like adults. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, I called Patricia Webb, a divorce attorney whose name kept coming up in my research with glowing reviews. Her receptionist got me an appointment for that afternoon. Patricia was in her mid-50s, sharp-eyed and direct. She listened to my story without interrupting, reviewed the financial documents I'd brought, and nodded. This is straightforward, she said. No kids, clear evidence of infidelity, separate finances. In this state, infidelity can be grounds for an at-fault divorce, which means she won't be entitled to alimony despite the income disparity. How long? I asked. If she doesn't contest it, 4 to 6 months. If she fights, could be a year or more. She'll fight, I said. She thinks I'm overreacting. Patricia smiled grimly. They usually do. I'll draw up the papers today. You can have them served by Friday. I spent the next 2 days at the hotel, working on client projects and ignoring increasingly angry texts from Nicole. By Wednesday evening, her messages had shifted from angry to worried. Jason, please come home. We need to talk about this. I'm sorry I said those things. I was defensive and wrong. You can't just disappear on me like this. Thursday morning, she tried a different approach. I talked to a therapist. She said we should come in together and work through this. Will you come to counseling with me? I didn't respond to any of it. Friday afternoon, a process server knocked on our door and handed Nicole the divorce papers. I know this because she called me 17 times in the next hour, each call going to voicemail, each voicemail more hysterical than the last. Finally, I answered. What the hell is this? Nicole screamed into the phone. You're divorcing me? Over one mistake? According to the bank statements, it wasn't one mistake. It was 8 months of mistakes. Silence. I found the cash withdrawals, Nicole. I found the hotel charges. I found the restaurant receipts. You've been cheating on me for at least 8 months, probably longer. That's not... You can't prove... She was floundering now. I can prove all of it, and I will in court. Jason, please don't do this. We can fix this. I'll do anything. You should have thought about that before you slept with Brett Harrison in our bed and told me to get over it. I hung up. Over the weekend, things got interesting. Nicole's mother called me, yelling about how I was destroying her daughter's life over nothing. Nicole's sister sent me a long text about forgiveness and commitment. Her best friend from college messaged me on Facebook to tell me I was being unreasonable. I blocked them all. Monday morning, I got a call from Brett Harrison. Jason, man, we need to talk, he said when I answered. No, we don't. Look, Nicole's telling everyone you're being crazy about this, that you're threatening her and making her life hell. Is that what she's saying? Yeah, and I just wanted you to know that nothing happened between us. She's lying to you about the whole thing. I actually laughed. Brett, I walked in on you, in my bedroom, in my bed. That was just... It wasn't what it looked like. So you weren't having sex with my wife? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Don't call me again. I hung up and immediately called Patricia. Nicole's trying to control the narrative, I told her. Telling people I'm threatening her, that nothing happened, that I'm overreacting. Do you have the video from your home security system? Patricia asked. I'd forgotten about that. We had cameras at the front door, back door, and garage. No cameras inside the house, but the timestamps would show Brett arriving and leaving. I'll get it to you today, I said. The footage was damning. Brett arriving at 1:15 p.m. on Tuesday, not leaving until 4:30 p.m., well after I'd left for the coffee shop. And it wasn't the first time. I went back through 2 months of footage and Found 6 other instances of Brett arriving while I was out and staying for hours. I sent everything to Patricia. "This is gold," she said when she called me back. "Jason, I don't think this is going to trial. Once Nicole's lawyer sees this, they'll advise her to settle." She was right. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Patricia. "Nicole wants to meet. Her attorney says she's willing to discuss terms." The meeting was in Patricia's conference room. Nicole looked terrible. She'd lost weight, had dark circles under her eyes, and couldn't seem to sit still. Her attorney, a tired-looking man named Douglas Perry, opened with their offer. "My client is willing to agree to a no-fault divorce. She'll sign away any claim to alimony or marital assets in exchange for Mr. Mercer agreeing not to pursue the at-fault filing." "Why would my client agree to that?" Patricia asked. "He has evidence of extensive infidelity. The at-fault grounds are solid." "Because it would be kinder," Douglas said. "Ms. Mercer has already suffered significant social consequences from this situation. An at-fault divorce on public record would make her life even more difficult." I looked at Nicole. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "What social consequences?" I asked. Douglas looked uncomfortable. Nicole stared at the table. Patricia smiled slightly. "I did some research. Apparently, Brett Harrison's wife found out about the affair. She posted about it on Facebook, tagged both Brett and Nicole. It went somewhat viral in their social circle." Nicole's face went red. "Additionally," Patricia continued, "Nicole's employer became aware of the situation. Apparently, there's a morality clause in her employment contract." "They fired me," Nicole said quietly. "They said I violated professional ethics by having an affair with a patient's husband." I blinked. "Brett's a patient at your office?" "Was," Nicole corrected bitterly. "His wife made sure he switched to a different dentist." "So let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You had an affair with a patient's husband, got caught, got fired, and got publicly shamed on social media?" "It's not funny, Jason." "I'm not laughing. I'm trying to understand why I should agree to protect you from the consequences of your own actions." "Because I'm asking you to," Nicole said, finally looking at me. "Because we were married for 11 years and that should count for something." I thought about that. About 11 years of what I'd thought was a good marriage. About coming home and finding her in bed with another man. About her telling me to get over it. "No," I said. "Jason," Nicole started. "No," I repeated. "You made your choices. You don't get to avoid the consequences now just because they're uncomfortable." I stood up. "Patricia, proceed with the at-fault filing. Let Nicole explain to everyone exactly why our marriage ended." Douglas tried to argue, but I walked out. Patricia caught up with me in the parking lot. "That was cold," she said approvingly. "I like it. She destroyed our marriage and expected me to protect her reputation. Why would I do that?" "Some people would, for the sake of the history you shared." "History doesn't mean much when someone rewrites it with lies," I said. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. The judge granted me everything I asked for. The house, since I'd made the down payment and paid most of the mortgage. No alimony, since Nicole's infidelity was proven. Clean break, no ties, no contact necessary. Nicole tried to reach out a few times after the divorce was final. Texts about how she was sorry, how she'd made a mistake, how she understood now that she'd thrown away something good. I never responded. What I did do was sell the house. Too many bad memories. I bought a condo downtown, modern and clean, with no history of betrayal built into the walls. I also expanded my business. Turned out that all the emotional energy I'd been putting into my marriage had been wasted. Redirected into my work, I landed 3 major clients in 6 months and doubled my income. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into Brett Harrison at a gas station. He looked rough, thinner, older, tired. "Jason," he said when he saw me. "Hey, Brett. Look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything that went down." I nodded. "How's your marriage?" "Divorced. Finalized last month." He rubbed his face. "Cost me everything. House, kids half the time, most of my savings. All for a few afternoons with someone who didn't even care about me." "That's rough," I said neutrally. "You were smart to get out quick. I tried to make it work with my wife, begged her to go to counseling. She said she'd never be able to trust me again, and she was right." He laughed bitterly. "Nicole reached out to me after your divorce, you know. Thought maybe we could try for real." "What did you say?" "I told her to go to hell. She destroyed 2 marriages and didn't care. About anyone but herself. Why would I want anything to do with that? I finished filling my tank. Take care of yourself, Brett. You too, man. And hey, for what it's worth, you dodged a bullet. I drove away thinking he was right. I had dodged a bullet. Or maybe I'd taken the bullet, survived, and come out stronger on the other side. About 8 months after the divorce, I met someone new. Her name was Amanda Price, and she was a project manager at one of my client companies. We'd worked together on a few projects, always professionally, always appropriately. One day she asked if I wanted to grab coffee and discuss a potential collaboration. I said yes. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a second date. By our third date, I told her about Nicole, about the divorce, about everything. That's horrible, Amanda said. I'm so sorry you went through that. I'm not, I said, surprising myself. I mean, it sucked at the time, but it taught me something important. What's that? That I'd rather be alone than with someone who doesn't respect me. That I'm worth more than being someone's backup plan or convenient option. Amanda smiled. That's a good lesson to learn. What about you? I asked. Any marriage disaster stories? Engaged once. Caught him cheating 3 weeks before the wedding. Called it off, lost the deposits, had to tell everyone it was over. How did you handle it? Moved to a different city, started over, built a career I'm proud of. Best decision I ever made. We understood each other, Amanda and I. We'd both been betrayed, both walked away, both rebuilt. There was no neediness, no desperation, just two people who knew their worth, choosing to spend time together. A year after that first coffee meeting, Amanda moved into my condo. Not because either of us needed the other, but because we wanted to build something together. 2 years after that, we got married. Small ceremony, close friends and family only. No drama, no complications, just two people making a choice to commit to each other. On our wedding day, Amanda's best friend pulled me aside. You know she almost didn't date you because of your divorce? Really? Yeah. She was worried you'd have baggage, that you'd be bitter or damaged, but I told her you were different. How could you tell? Because you didn't trash talk your ex. You just said it didn't work out and you moved on. That's how I knew you'd processed it and let it go. I thought about that. About Nicole and the divorce and everything that had happened, and realized she was right. I had let it go. Not because I'd forgiven Nicole, exactly, but because I'd stopped letting her actions define my life. Last week, I got a Facebook message from Nicole. The first contact in almost 4 years. Jason, I hope you're doing well. I've been in therapy and working on myself. I wanted to reach out and apologize for everything I put you through. You deserved better, and I'm sorry it took me so long to see that. I hope you found happiness. I showed the message to Amanda. Are you going to respond? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to tell her I'm married now, that I'm happy, that I moved on and built something better, but that feels like I'm still trying to prove something to her. So what will you do? I thought about it for a long moment. Then I deleted the message without responding. Nothing, I said. I'll do nothing. She's part of a life I don't live anymore. Responding would just be giving her space in a life where she doesn't belong. Amanda kissed my cheek. That's the right answer. Looking back now, I realized that Tuesday afternoon when I walked into my bedroom and found Nicole with Brett wasn't the worst day of my life. It was actually one of the best. Because it forced me to see the truth. That I'd been living in a comfortable lie, accepting mediocrity because it was familiar. That I'd been so focused on maintaining what I thought was a good marriage that I'd ignored all the signs it was actually a terrible one. Nicole did me a favor, really. She showed me exactly who she was, gave me clarity I might never have found otherwise. And while the process of divorce was painful, it was also liberating. I learned that I could survive betrayal, that I could walk away from something that wasn't serving me, that I deserved respect, loyalty, and honesty in my relationships. More importantly, I learned that being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel small. That starting over, while scary, is sometimes the bravest and smartest thing you can do. Nicole taught me what I didn't want. Amanda showed me what I did want. And the difference between those two experiences has made all the difference in my life. These days, when I think about that Tuesday afternoon, I don't feel anger or pain. I feel grateful. Grateful that Nicole showed me who she was before I wasted more years on a marriage that was already dead. Grateful that I had the strength to walk away. Grateful that I gave myself permission to find something better. Someone recently asked me if I'd ever go back and change what happened. My answer was immediate and certain. Absolutely not. Because every painful moment, every hard decision, every lonely night led me to where I am now. And where I am now is exactly where I want to be, with someone who respects me, with someone who values what we're building together, with someone who would never look at me and say, "Get over it," when trust is broken. That Tuesday afternoon, Nicole showed me her true character. My only regret is that I didn't see it sooner. But sometimes the best lessons are the ones that hurt the most, and the best revenge is living well, loving better, and never looking back. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you for watching. If you've ever had to walk away from someone who didn't value you, drop a comment and share your experience. Hit that subscribe button for more stories about standing up for yourself and finding the strength to start over. And don't forget to like this video. Remember, you deserve respect, honesty, and loyalty in your relationships. Never settle for less. And if someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Until next time, take care of yourselves. You're worth it. And that's how karma delivered justice. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear that comebacks are real. Drop a comment below telling us what you would have done in this situation, or share your own revenge story. We read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because we post new revenge stories every week. And trust me, the next one is even more unbelievable. Remember, the best revenge is massive success. Until next time, this is Revenge Tales, where justice always wins.